let me ask you a question. Have you ever looked around and felt like you were living someone else's life? You wake up tired, not just in your body, but in your soul. You're drained heavy, like you're carrying a backpack filled with bricks of fear, self-doubt, betrayal, and bitterness. And you think to yourself, how did I end up here? I was there once, living day to day, not thriving, just surviving. I had toxic people around me, but worse, I had toxic beliefs within me. I was working hard, but I was moving in circles, chasing validation, chasing approval, but never peace. And then I realized something I needed to detox. Not just my body, but my mind, my relationships, my environment, and my habits. Because here's the truth. You cannot heal in the same environment that made you sick. Tonight, I want to walk you through a transformation. Not some cute motivational phrases, but the real gritty process of what it means to detoxify your life. This is not just about feeling better. This is about getting free. You can't change what you won't confront. That truth hits hard because it cuts through every excuse we've used to stay stuck. If you want to detox your life, your entire life, it doesn't start with fixing your job, cutting people off, or changing cities. It starts in one terrifying, powerful place, the mirror. That mirror doesn't lie. It shows you everything you've been avoiding. The tired eyes, the weight of decisions not made, the dreams you buried beneath the routine. That mirror, it's not your enemy, it's your awakening. But here's the truth. Most people walk past it every day without really looking. Because to look is to see. And to see means you now have a responsibility to change. I remember when I finally stood in front of the mirror and didn't rush past it. I didn't smile for anyone. I didn't pretend. I looked at myself and realized I was tired of faking it, tired of pretending I was okay, tired of carrying this invisible burden of being strong while silently crumbling inside. That's when I said it out loud. This is not the life I was born to live. And that moment, it didn't feel magical. It didn't feel freeing. It felt like grief. I grieved the years I gave to distractions. I grieved the parts of me I gave away just to be liked. I grieved the silence I used to protect people who were hurting me. It was messy, but necessary, because detoxing your life begins with telling yourself the truth. And the hardest truth of all is this: sometimes we're the ones keeping ourselves stuck. We entertain distractions, hold on to guilt, laugh with people who secretly hate us, stay in environments that shrink us, and then we act surprised when our spirit feels sick. You can't lie to yourself and live fully. You can't fake your way into freedom. You have to confront the patterns you've normalized. Ask yourself, why do I keep saying yes when I want to say no? Why am I afraid to be alone with my own thoughts? Why do I stay silent when my soul is screaming? These aren't just questions. They are keys, and only you can turn them. Here's what I had to face. I was entertaining people who didn't respect me just because I feared being alone. I was waking up every morning with my phone in my hand, chasing dopamine, chasing distractions, scrolling past people doing what I was too scared to begin. My dreams, they were on the floor. My potential, sleeping under the weight of procrastination. My spirit, crushed under the disguise of productivity. And I'll tell you something real. Being busy is not the same as being in purpose. I was hiding behind my to-do list. I'd say, I'm working hard, but I was just staying distracted. Because facing the truth meant facing the fear that maybe I wasn't as healed, as driven, as focused as I pretended to be. And when I finally told myself the truth, it hurt. It was like peeling off a mask I'd worn for years. I didn't even recognize myself without it. But that pain, that raw soul, deep pain, it woke me up. Because pain has a purpose when it points you back to your path. Detoxing your life means holding yourself accountable. It means saying, I refuse to carry dead weight into the next chapter. And some of that dead weight isn't people. It's your habits, your mindset, your silence, your need to please, your refusal to rest, your fear of outgrowing the people around you. When you finally face the mirror and stop faking, you'll realize something life-changing. You don't need to fix everything. You just need to start telling the truth. And the truth is, you're not broken, you're buried. You've been buried under fear, under lies, under guilt, under stories that were never even yours. And now it's time to rise, but you don't rise by pretending. You rise by shedding. So tonight, I challenge you, no, I dare you, to look at yourself with honest eyes and say, I'm ready to release anything not aligned with who I'm becoming. Because who you're becoming, that person doesn't have time to babysit excuses. That person doesn't walk around with guilt. That person doesn't need permission to heal, to speak, to walk away, to grow, to begin again. That person, the real you, has been waiting behind the lies for far too long. And the mirror, that's where you'll meet them. Not tomorrow, not next year, right now. Face the mirror or fake your life. The choice is yours. TT card before IT showcase why you. Let me tell you something uncomfortable. Not everyone who started with you is meant to finish with you. That's not bitter. That's not cold-heartedness. That's reality. And the sooner you accept that truth, the freer you'll be. You see, in life, some people are like scaffolding, temporary structures to help you build, but you're not supposed to live your life wrapped up in them. When the building rises, the scaffolding comes down. Some people came into your life to teach you, to support you through a season, or even to test you. But not all of them are meant to come with you to the next chapter. And yet we hold on. We hold on out of guilt, out of fear, out of history. But they've been with me since the beginning. But it's family. But I don't want to be alone. And while you're holding on, your spirit is suffocating. Some people in your life are anchors pretending to be wings. And you're wondering why you can't fly. You open your heart, share your dreams, speak life over your future, and here they come. The snide comments, the backhanded compliments, the passive-aggressive jabs, the doubts disguised as advice. You say you want to open a business, and they tell you about all the ways it can fail. You say you want to heal and grow, and they remind you of every time you fell apart. And maybe you think they're just being real. No, they're being toxic, because if someone cannot clap for your elevation, they were never truly in your corner. And listen, not all toxic people are loud. Some of them smile in your face and pray for your fall in silence. Some of them don't need to speak death, because their energy does it for them. You feel drained every time you talk to them. You feel small when you walk away. You feel confused, uncertain, anxious. That's not love. That's not support. That's slow poison. If you don't cut the cord, it will choke you slowly over years, over decades, until one day you wake up and don't recognize yourself. Now, don't misunderstand this. Cutting the cord doesn't mean you hate them. It doesn't mean you're better than them. It doesn't mean you need to cuss somebody out or make a dramatic exit. This isn't about being petty. It's about protecting your purpose. You don't need to announce your departure. Just stop feeding what's killing you. Stop showing up to conversations that drain you. Stop returning calls that leave you feeling worse. Stop lowering your standards to make insecure people comfortable. There comes a time when you have to choose your peace or their approval. And if choosing you makes them mad, that was never real love to begin with. I had to learn this the hard way. I held on to people far past their expiration date. I kept friends around because we had memories. I kept connections because I didn't want to be the bad guy. And while I was busy trying not to hurt them, I was hurting myself. I was shrinking. I was silencing my truth. I was ignoring my own intuition just to keep the peace. But that peace wasn't real. It was performance. And nothing good grows in performance. The truth is, you cannot soar while dragging dead weight. And some of the people in your life right now, they're not just standing still, they're pulling you backwards. And every time you try to rise, they remind you of who you used to be. They keep you grounded in a story you've already outgrown. They see the old you, not the healed you, not the growing you, not the destined for greatness you. So cut the cord. I'm not telling you it'll be easy. Letting go hurts, especially when your heart still cares. But healing is not about comfort. It's about commitment. Commitment to your future. Commitment to your growth. Commitment to the version of you that's been buried under obligation and guilt. You owe it to your destiny to make room for people who water your roots, not steal your sunlight. Find the ones who speak life into you, who challenge you, who believe in you even when you're doubting yourself. Those are your people. Those are your wings. And you deserve to fly. It's time to stop carrying what's been cutting you. It's time to release what doesn't rise with you. It's time to cut the cord before it chokes the very breath out of your purpose. Because your life is too precious, your calling is too deep, and your time is too short to waste on people who don't see your worth. Let go and grow. See your enemy sometimes. The most dangerous voice in your life isn't the critic in the comments, the doubter at your job, or the family member who never believed in you. No. The most dangerous, the most poisonous, the most consistently toxic voice is the one inside your own head. You know the one I'm talking about. That voice that waits until you're alone, until it's quiet, until you've finished trying to be strong in front of everyone else. That voice that whispers, you're not smart enough. You're not good enough. You always mess up. Why even try? It doesn't scream. It creeps. It slithers in at your weakest moments and rewinds every failure, replays every insult, reopens every wound. And let me tell you something that most people don't want to admit. That voice is not the truth. It's not God's voice. It's not your soul's voice. It's programming. That voice was built brick by brick by people who didn't see your worth. People who spoke death over your identity when you were too young, too broken, or too desperate to push back. Maybe it was a parent who never showed love, a teacher who embarrassed you in front of the class, a relationship that made you feel disposable. Every moment like that, it layered itself onto your mind like cement. So now, every time you dream big, every time you want more, every time you try to grow, that voice pulls you back. And you think it's your intuition. No, it's just old fear pretending to be wisdom. I know what it's like. I've heard that voice for years. When I stood up to speak and my knees were shaking, it said, you're not qualified. When I tried to build something new, it said, you're not ready. When I fell and tried to get up again, it laughed and said, you always fall. But one day I realized something. That voice wasn't mine. It sounded like me, but it wasn't me. It was the echo of everyone who couldn't see my light bouncing around in my own head. And the moment I realized that, something inside me shifted. I stopped agreeing with it. I stopped feeding it. I stopped mistaking it for truth. And I learned how to talk back. Let me be clear. You don't have to believe everything you think. Just because a thought pops up doesn't mean it's right. That inner enemy isn't your identity. It's your inner noise, built by repetition, not reality. And you don't need anyone's permission to break that pattern. You can look that voice square in the face and say, I am not my past. I am not your lies. I am not my trauma, my pain, or your predictions. You have the power to speak over yourself. That's where detox starts, not with external people, but with the internal dialogue that shapes your destiny. If you keep saying, I'm broke, how can you attract wealth? If you keep saying, I'm always alone, how can you see connection? If you keep saying, I'm stuck, how will you even believe in progress? Words matter. They are spells you cast over your own life. And most of us are under a spell we didn't choose. But now you get to choose. You get to speak new words. You get to break old agreements. You get to interrupt the pattern. Start with this, I am growing. I am healing. I may not be there yet, but I'm further than I was. I don't have to be perfect to be powerful. I am more than enough. Speak life even when you don't feel it yet. Why? Because your words are the seeds and your emotions are the soil. If you plant something long enough, it will take root. You detox your life by detoxing your language. If your self-talk were a person, would you keep them around? Would you let someone speak to your child the way you speak to yourself? Let that sink in. Because sometimes we've been bullying ourselves for so long, we think it's normal, but it's not. It's time to silence the inner enemy, and not with force, with truth, with gentleness, with patience. with compassion. You don't win the battle in your head by being louder. You win it by being wiser, by knowing that thought is old, that belief is borrowed. That fear is familiar, but it's not final. You can retrain your inner voice the same way you train a muscle. Practice, repetition, time. You fall back sometimes, but you don't give up because your freedom depends on it. So when that voice shows up tomorrow, and it will, you'll be ready. You'll pause, smile, and say, thank you for trying to protect me, but I've outgrown you now. And then you walk on, free, focused, fearless, because the enemy inside your head doesn't stand a chance against the warrior waking up in your soul. While your life follows your thoughts. Let that sink in. Your life doesn't follow your hustle, your talent, or even your prayers alone. It follows your thoughts. Every action you take, every relationship you keep, every door you knock on or walk past, it all begins with a single thought. So if your mind is stuck in fear, if your thoughts are trapped in the cycle of, I can't, I'm not, it's too late, then guess what? Your life is going to reflect that limitation back to you day after day. This is not motivational fluff. This is reality. If you think like a victim, you'll live like one. If you see yourself as powerless, you'll never take your power back. If you speak from a place of defeat, you'll never walk like a conqueror. The most dangerous prison in the world is the one without bars, the one you live inside every day in your head. A mental prison built from old wounds, generational beliefs, emotional trauma, social comparison, and the noise of a world that profits off your insecurity. But here's the powerful truth. You built that prison and you can tear it down. You were not born with a fixed mindset. You were not created with limits on your belief. When you were a child, you didn't doubt. You believed in magic. You believed in dreams. You believed that anything was possible. And then life started programming you one no at a time. One failure. One heartbreak. One you're not good enough from someone who had no idea of the power you carry. That's how the toxic programming began. And like a computer that's been infected, your system has been running slow, lagging, freezing up, because it's operating on code that was never designed for your success. But just like a computer, you can reprogram it. You can reboot your system. And no, I'm not talking about fake positivity or just saying affirmations in the mirror while your life is in chaos. I'm talking about intentional, disciplined mental training. I'm talking about committing to a process where every single day you feed your mind the kind of thoughts that align with who you want to become, not where you've been. Reprogramming your mind starts with what you consume. If you feed it fear, it will produce paralysis. If you feed it faith, it will produce movement. Every morning, you wake up with a choice. You can scroll through the garbage, the arguments, the envy, the highlight reels of strangers. Or you can feed your mind with fuel. Read books that expand your thinking. Listen to speakers who pour life into your dreams. Surround yourself with people who don't let you shrink. Write your goals down and speak them aloud like they already exist. Because your mind is a garden and it doesn't care what you plant. It will grow poison or power, weeds or wisdom. It just needs a seed. So every thought is a seed. What are you planting? You must become the guardian of your mental space. You don't let just anyone walk into your home and dump trash in your living room, right? Then why let just anyone, especially your own past, dump fear, self-hate, and regret into your mind? Your mind is not a trash can. Don't let garbage sit there. Don't let gossip live there. Don't let shame rent space. Don't let that voice from 5 years ago echo through your purpose. There's a story of a young man who wanted to change his life. He didn't have money. He didn't have connections, but he had a notebook and belief. Every day he wrote who he wanted to be. He read it out loud. He refused to let anyone talk him out of it. People laughed. Life hit him, but he never stopped reprogramming his mind for possibility. Today, he's leading a company, inspiring millions, and living a life that started with a shift in thought. That's how it works. Because once you change your thinking, you change your energy. You start walking with different posture. You say no to what used to control you. You stop begging and start building. You don't ask, can I anymore? You say, how will I? When you start believing in what's possible, your brain looks for solutions instead of excuses. Your spirit finds strength in storms. Your mouth speaks life into dead situations. You stop being controlled by what's behind you, and you start chasing what's in front of you. It's not magic. It's mental mastery. And it's not overnight. It's daily repetition, consistency, intention. Even when you don't feel it, even when your old thoughts try to creep in, you keep feeding the new ones. And one day, you wake up and realize you're not thinking like a victim anymore. You're not shrinking around opportunity. You're not doubting yourself out of your dreams. You've been reprogrammed for possibility. And now, your life follows that. Your peace follows that. Your purpose follows that. You didn't just detox your mind, you designed your future. Now protect that programming, because the new you is no longer compatible with the old limitations. See the answer you are habits. Let's talk habits. Because a lot of people are waiting for a breakthrough, waiting for God to show up, waiting for that one moment to change everything. But they're not paying attention to the small choices they make every single day. You don't need a demon attacking you. Your habits are doing the job quietly, consistently, without mercy. You don't lose your purpose in a day. You lose it one habit at a time, one snooze button at a time, one skipped workout, one toxic conversation, one I'll do it tomorrow. That turns into 10 years of delay. And we're so used to living on autopilot that we don't even realize our habits have become rituals of self-sabotage. Scrolling through toxic social media feeds before you've even prayed, even stretched, even spoken gratitude for being alive. Binging Netflix for hours, but saying you have no time to learn, to build, to evolve. Eating food that leaves you tired and foggy, then wondering why you can't focus. Talking to people who drain your spirit and call it friendship because you've known them for years. You want a better life. Build better rituals. Your habits are not just actions, they're spiritual agreements. Every habit you repeat is a signal to the universe, to your mind, to your soul that says, this is who I am. This is what I'm worthy of. This is how I treat myself. So if your habits are sloppy, avoidant, self-destructive, don't expect your destiny to bloom. You can't plant weeds and expect roses. Let me tell you, I had to detox my routine like my life depended on it, because it did. I was waking up tired, already anxious, jumping into my phone before I even had a moment to check in with myself. I'd start the day in reaction mode, reacting to notifications, to stress, to noise. And by the end of the day, I had nothing left for my goals, my healing, or my peace. So I got serious. I started waking up earlier, not because I wanted to feel superior or do some fancy productivity hack, because I needed quiet. I needed stillness before the world started pulling at me. I began drinking water as my first act of the day, not caffeine, not chaos, because I wanted to show my body it mattered. I cut down distractions. I read books again. I stopped making excuses for not having time and realized I had time. I just wasn't claiming it. I began writing my goals down every single day. Not because writing makes them magically appear, but because repetition builds belief. And belief builds behavior. And behavior, that builds a lifestyle. Here's the truth. Your habits are shaping you even when you're not paying attention. Every single day, you're either aligning with the future you want or drifting further from it. And that drift, it's subtle. You won't feel it right away. But one day you'll wake up and realize you're in a place you never chose. You just never had the discipline to steer somewhere better. You've got to be honest. Look at your routines. Audit your day. What are you doing out of habit that's actually hurting you? What's comfortable but killing your calling? What are you allowing that doesn't align with the person you say you want to become? Discipline isn't punishment. It's self-respect. It's saying, I love myself too much to keep living in cycles that break me. And I get it. Some habits are tied to trauma. Some are coping mechanisms. You don't need to hate yourself for them, but you do need to outgrow them. Healing is also habit. Self-worth is built in the little things. How you talk to yourself, how you treat your time, how you handle your money, how you prepare for tomorrow. So if you want transformation, stop waiting for motivation and start creating systems. Set alarms, set boundaries, build a morning routine that sets the tone. Cut out just one habit this week that you know doesn't serve you. Replace it with something better, even something small, because small hinges swing big doors. You don't rise by accident. You rise by intention. You build a legendary life by stacking legendary choices, 1 hour, one habit, one decision at a time. Your habits are the blueprint of your future. And if you don't like the house you're living in, it's time to change the bricks you're laying every day. Remember this, your habits are a mirror of your self-worth. So what are they reflecting? If you really love yourself, prove it in your routine. If you really believe in your dream, show it in your discipline. Because change doesn't happen when you feel like it. It happens when you act like it. And it starts now. CLURVRMNT, you can't grow flowers in a dumpster. You can't build peace in the middle of chaos. You can't unlock clarity in a space screaming confusion. You can't call in your future while you're still sleeping in your past. Your environment is speaking to you even when you're not listening. The question is, what is it saying? Look around right now. Is your space peaceful or chaotic? Is your room a place that comforts your soul or clutters your mind? Is your car clean or does it carry your overwhelm in the back seat? Is your kitchen a reflection of your discipline or your emotional exhaustion? We don't often think about it, but your environment isn't just where you live. It's how you live. It's the energy you marinate in. And energy is everything. So many people are praying for peace while living in clutter, praying for focus while their desks are covered with distraction, praying for love while holding on to photos, clothes, and souvenirs from heartbreak. They're asking for transformation, but sleeping in a room soaked in yesterday's energy. Let me tell you, you can't manifest a new future in an environment that worships your past. Cleaning your environment isn't just about tidying up. It's spiritual. It's psychological. It's emotional detox. You think it's just clothes on the floor, but that shirt you never wear. It reminds you of a time you were hurting. You think it's just papers stacked on the table, but that pile represents all the things you haven't faced. You think it's just a broken chair in the corner, but deep down, you've gotten used to tolerating what doesn't serve you. And if you tolerate it in your space, you'll tolerate it in your soul. I remember walking into my room one day, tired and heavy, and I looked around, and it hit me. My room wasn't chaotic just because I was busy. It was chaotic because I was neglecting myself. My space looked like my mind scattered, rushed, overwhelmed. And in that moment, I realized if I wanted to change my life, I had to change what I was walking into every day. Because your environment whispers into your subconscious. It tells you how much you matter. It tells you whether you're surviving or thriving. And for far too long, mine said, you're tired. Just make it through. That wasn't enough. So I began clearing, not just sweeping, clearing. I removed clothes that carried memories I didn't want to relive. I threw out old notes from people who no longer had access to me. I deleted photos that made me ache instead of grow. I rearranged furniture to reflect a new path, a new energy. I lit candles. I added light. I opened windows and let the air shift. And you know what happened? My mind followed. My energy changed. Suddenly, I had room to think, room to breathe, room to imagine again. That's what happens when you make your environment a sanctuary instead of a storage unit for past pain. Your space should be a reflection of where you're going, not where you've been. Don't let your room become a museum of missed opportunities and broken versions of you. Make it a gallery of vision. Put up your goals. Paint your intention across the walls. Make your bed with the mindset of someone who believes they're worth waking up for. Keep your car clean, not just for show, but because clarity loves order. If your environment reflects fear, your mind will hold back. If your environment screams neglect, your self-worth will start to agree. If your environment says, I don't matter, then your actions will follow suit. But if your environment speaks love, peace, progress, Then even when life gets tough, you'll have a place to recharge. You'll have a place that pours back into you. Clean your space. Remove the objects that hold old pain. Clear the corners of your life where brokenness hides in silence. Because everything you tolerate physically, you begin to tolerate emotionally. And you don't need that weight anymore. You don't need the clutter. You don't need the chaos. You don't need to apologize for making room for peace. Design an environment that reflects where you're becoming, not the version of you who had to survive. That version deserves honor, but not residence. You've outgrown the mess. Now live like it. Because the space around you should be your anchor, not your storm. Your comfort, not your trigger. Your fuel, not your drain. Clean your environment, and you'll find you're not just clearing a room. You're making space for your next level. Detox, you, time I need. Let's get real. Your phone knows you better than most people. It knows what makes you laugh, what makes you jealous, what keeps you scrolling at 2 a.m. when you should be asleep, dreaming, or building. And if you're not intentional with what you're consuming, that screen becomes a slow drip of mental poison, a silent killer of your focus, your peace, your self-worth. What are you watching? Who are you following? What are you consuming? Because you can't build a powerful life with a poisoned mind. You can't walk in your purpose if your thoughts are hijacked by comparison, distraction, and noise. Some of you need to unfollow people who make you feel like you're behind in life. You know exactly who I'm talking about. The ones who make you feel like your grind isn't enough, your body isn't enough, your timeline isn't fast enough. Every time you see them, you start to question your own value. And it's not because they're doing anything wrong. It's because your soul is telling you, this isn't feeding me. And when something doesn't feed you, it starts to starve something vital inside you. You wouldn't drink bleach, would you? Then why are you sipping on digital toxicity all day? If someone gave you poison on a plate, you'd throw it away. You'd be offended. But we sit there every day, consuming the digital version of it, gossip pages, fake perfection, arguments in the comments, videos that glorify violence, accounts built on drama and dysfunction. That's not content. That's contamination. And you wonder why you feel anxious. You wonder why your peace is fragile. You wonder why your dreams feel distant. It's not just the world. It's what you've let into your world. Listen, your phone is not the enemy. The problem is what you've allowed it to become. That little device can be a weapon for your growth or a tool for your destruction. The choice is yours. And yes, it is a choice. Every scroll, every follow, every click, that's a vote for the person you're becoming. So what are you voting for? Are you voting for growth, for peace, for purpose? Or are you voting for distraction, dysfunction, and delay? I'm not here to shame you. I've been there. I've looked up from the screen and realized I just wasted an hour watching people argue, flex, fake, and fall apart, all while my own goals were sitting on the shelf, untouched. I was feeding my brain with noise, then wondering why I couldn't hear my intuition. So I made a decision, detox the timeline. I started unfollowing and muting accounts that didn't align with my peace. I didn't care how popular they were. If it didn't lift me, it couldn't live in my feed. Period. Then I took it a step further. I started curating my digital life the same way I would a sacred space. I followed creators who poured wisdom. I subscribed to people who taught me something. I added pages that reminded me to be present, to be grateful, to dream again. I wasn't just scrolling anymore. I was investing, because your timeline is more than entertainment. It's your mental diet. And just like your physical body responds to junk food, your mind responds to junk thoughts. If you're consuming confusion, you'll create chaos. If you're consuming inspiration, you'll birth ideas. If you're consuming light, you'll reflect it. It's not about being perfect. It's about being aware. Your mind is sacred space. What you allow into it will either plant purpose or poison. So here's your challenge. Take 5 minutes today and audit your timeline. Look at every account. Ask yourself, does this build me or break me? Does this feed my focus or feed my fears? Does this content reflect the life I want to live or the one I'm trying to escape? And if the answer doesn't serve you, unfollow, block, mute, delete. Not because you're petty, because you're intentional, because you're serious about your peace, because your vision matters more than staying in the loop, because you can't scroll your way into success, but you can scroll your way into stagnation. Detox your digital life like your future depends on it, because it does. And once you do, you'll notice something powerful. Your thoughts are clearer. Your mood is lighter. Your ideas start flowing again. You stop comparing and you start creating. That's the power of protecting your peace in the digital world. That's the power of being the gatekeeper of your own mind. So remember, your timeline is not just what you see. It's what shapes who you're becoming. Choose wisely. Feed your focus and let your scroll be sacred. Relastain and etio, beyourbest, one of the most dangerous toxins poisoning your peace, your purpose, your power is the need to be understood, the need to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you, the need to defend your dreams to doubters, the need to justify your growth to those still married to their smallness. That need. It will drain you because here's the hard truth. Some people will never get it, and they were never meant to. You keep handing out explanations like candy, hoping that if you just say it the right way, if you show enough proof, if you pour out your heart enough, they'll finally see you. But you're wasting precious energy trying to convince people whose minds were made up before you even opened your mouth. People who need you to stay small so they can stay comfortable. People who listen not to understand, but to judge. And every time you try to make them see your light, they bring shade. Every time you open up, they weaponize it. Every time you try to include them in your healing, they remind you of your hurt. Let them go. You don't owe everyone access to your process. Growth is sacred. Healing is personal. And your path, your calling, is not up for debate. Some of you are tired, not because you're doing too much, but because you're explaining too much. You're exhausting yourself trying to bring everyone with you when God already whispered. This leg of the journey is for you alone. And real growth, real healing, it often looks like isolation. You'll have seasons where you feel misunderstood, misread, even mislabeled. And you know what? That's okay. That's proof you're rising. Because when you grow beyond who people thought you were, they get uncomfortable. They say, you've changed. You say, I evolved. When you stop attending every argument you're invited to, people say you're distant. No, you're focused. When you stop explaining your every move, people say you're cold. No, you're protecting your peace. There comes a time when you have to detox your spirit from the need for applause. You've been trying to fit into rooms you were sent to change. Trying to be understood by minds not designed to carry your depth. And let me tell you something liberating. You don't need to be understood to be impactful. You don't need validation to walk in your value. The most powerful people in history were not understood in their time. Visionaries are rarely accepted while they're still building. Jesus was misunderstood. Nelson Mandela was misunderstood. Martin Luther King Jr., Malala, Mother Teresa, all of them misunderstood, criticized, condemned by the very people they were sent to uplift. So, why do you think your growth will be universally applauded? You were not born to be liked. You were born to be legendary. And legends, they're different. They don't move to the rhythm of the crowd. They don't beg for claps. They walk in purpose, even if it means walking alone. You have to be willing to stand in the silence, not because you're lost, but because you're locked in. Silence can be a sanctuary, a space to reconnect with your inner voice, a place where your clarity sharpens, your strength multiplies, and your path becomes undeniable. You don't owe explanations for why you left the relationship that broke your soul. You don't owe justifications for choosing therapy, solitude, or boundaries. You don't need to defend the new you to people committed to your old chapter. Let them talk. Let them gossip. Let them guess. Because while they're stuck trying to figure you out, you'll be too busy figuring out your legacy. This world will always have something to say. You can either bend yourself to fit into it or rise boldly in your truth and let the noise fade behind your progress. So today, release it. Release the guilt. Release the fear. Release the illusion that everyone has to get it before you move. They don't. You do. Release the need to be understood. You were never made to fit the mold. You were made to break it. And once you stop chasing validation, something amazing happens. You move freer. You think clearer. You dream louder. You create bolder. You show up as the version of you that's not waiting to be accepted, just committed to becoming. That's the detox. That's the breakthrough. That's the beginning of living unapologetically, purposefully, and fully. Let them misunderstand you. Let them mislabel you. Let them miss the miracle that is your becoming, because legends aren't born in comfort. They're forged in isolation, in silence, in unapologetic evolution. Oxios ONINRPE OVRPAR performance. Too many people look successful but feel suicidal. They wear the suit, they smile on the stage, they post the highlight reel. Their LinkedIn is polished, their Instagram is thriving, but inside, they're exhausted, hollow, breaking quietly under the weight of expectations and appearances. You'd never know by looking, but that's the point. We've learned how to perform, not how to heal. You see, we live in a world that glorifies appearance, but ignores authenticity. A world that applauds how loud you are, not how whole you are. That's the hidden toxicity. Performing for a world that doesn't know your war. You can win awards, run businesses, gain followers, and still feel empty. You can be the go-to person for advice and motivation, and still go home at night feeling like you're drowning. You can look like you have it all together and still feel like it's all falling apart. Because there's a difference between functioning and flourishing. And too many people are functioning in public while they're fading in private. If you have to sacrifice your peace to keep your position, it's not worth it. And I'm not saying your dreams don't matter. I'm not saying your hustle isn't important. But listen, what's the point of reaching the top if you lose yourself on the way up? What's the point of impressing strangers online while quietly ignoring your own pain offline? You weren't created to live in conflict with yourself. Take the mask off. Take off the I'm fine mask. Take off the I've got it all figured out mask. Take off the I can handle it all alone mask. Because wearing a mask for too long doesn't just hide your truth. It strangles your soul. You end up forgetting what real peace even feels like because you've gotten so used to pretending. Let me tell you something from the heart. Your peace is more important than your performance. You don't need to prove anything to people who aren't even part of your purpose. You don't need to constantly show up for platforms that don't even know your name. You don't need to wear yourself thin trying to earn validation from people whose opinions change by the hour. Success is not what you show, it's what you live. It's the quiet in your spirit. It's the sleep that comes without anxiety. It's the ability to sit alone and not feel empty. It's the freedom to say no without guilt and yes without fear. Inner peace isn't passive. It's powerful. It's revolutionary. In a world that profits off your insecurity, choosing peace is a bold act. Choosing silence over noise. Choosing therapy over trophies. Choosing rest over running yourself into the ground. That's power. That's wisdom. That's the kind of success no algorithm can measure. And let me be real. This shift won't be easy. Because when you've spent years being defined by your performance, letting go of it will feel like failure. You'll feel guilty for resting. You'll feel anxious for not doing more. You'll wonder if people will forget you if you stop posting, stop pushing, stop proving. But what if the people who only remember you when you perform were never your people? What if the spotlight that keeps you shining on the outside is the very thing burning you alive on the inside? You have to decide, do I want to look successful or do I want to be whole? Your heart is not a business. Your spirit is not a brand. Your mental health is not a marketing strategy. You're a soul, a human being, and you deserve peace. So start protecting it like it's your oxygen, because it is. No peace, no clarity. No peace, no creativity. No peace, no purpose. Your peace is the soil where your greatness grows. Don't trade it for applause. Don't sell it for a position. Don't lose it trying to live up to expectations that were never even yours to begin with. Success without peace is failure in disguise. And if you've been living like that, running, chasing, performing, this is your invitation to pause, to breathe, to come back home to yourself, to detox from the pressure, to release the mask, to rebuild from a place of stillness, not stress. Because the life you truly want isn't waiting in more hustle. It's hiding in your healing. It's resting in your stillness. It's buried under the noise you've been too afraid to silence. So today, make the decision to choose peace over pressure, clarity over chaos, truth over image, healing over hustle. Because when the show ends and the noise fades, you're all you've got. And you deserve to live, not just perform. Step INTOO or Hey LNH Detox is not an event. It's a lifestyle. It's not a one-time cleanse. It's not a weekend escape. It's not a moment of inspiration that fades by Monday morning. Detox is a commitment. It's a vow you make to your future self that says, I will no longer live in environments, relationships, and patterns that poison my potential. Every day you wake up with a choice. Do I stay where it's familiar, even if it's killing me quietly? Or do I step into the unfamiliar where growth is painful, but freedom is waiting? Let me tell you this with every ounce of love and truth in me. You can't heal in the same space that broke you. You can't evolve while still clinging to what exhausted you. You can't become who God designed you to be while holding on to what kept the old you alive. This is your healing season. And let me be honest, it doesn't come with soft music and bubble baths. Healing is messy. It's lonely. It's confusing. It's crying at night and rising in the morning anyway. It's letting go of people you swore you'd never lose. It's confronting the parts of yourself you've ignored for years. It's doing the work you kept putting off because it's not that bad. No, it is that bad. And it's been that bad, and now it's time to stop surviving and start living. Healing hurts at first. It costs you. It costs you your comfort zone. It costs you people who are only there for the broken version of you. It costs you the excuses you used to hide behind. It costs you your laziness, your denial, your distractions. But what it gives you, it gives you peace that isn't fake. It gives you joy that doesn't depend on circumstances. It gives you strength that doesn't need approval. It gives you freedom, the kind that lets you walk into a room and not shrink, not apologize, not pretend. Freedom is where your future lives, that version of you that's healed, that walks tall, that speaks boldly, that dreams again. They don't live in the shadows. They live in the light. And the path to that light starts with a detox. It starts with saying, I will no longer tolerate what drains me. Say it with your chest. Say it with your actions. Say it with your boundaries. You're done watering dead things, dead relationships, dead habits, dead thought patterns. They don't need more of your time. They need a funeral. You're done dimming your light to make others comfortable. You're done playing small so others don't feel insecure. You're done explaining your peace to people addicted to chaos. It's time to live clean. Think clear. Love loud. And that's not just a cute phrase. It's a blueprint. Live clean. Stop poisoning your body, your mind, your spirit with what doesn't nourish you. Think clear. Start feeding your mind with truth, faith, vision, and discipline. Love loud. Pour into the people who pour back. Speak life. Stand firm. Be unapologetic about your healing. Because when you step into your healing season, you start realizing you don't need closure. You need clarity. You don't need revenge. You need peace. You don't need everyone to understand. You need to understand yourself. And listen, I know it's tempting to turn back, to go back to what was easy, to pretend you don't care, to settle for halfway healed. But halfway healed is still hurting. Halfway free is still bound. And halfway alive is still dying. You were not created to live on autopilot. You were not built to carry pain forever. You were not meant to stay stuck in the same story that broke you. You are here for transformation, so claim it, own it. Walk in it. This is your season, your healing season. And it's not going to feel good every day, but it will set you free in ways you never imagined. And one day, you'll look back on the pain, the shedding, the silence, the solitude, and you'll realize it was never punishment. It was preparation. You were never falling apart. You were falling into place. This is the chapter where you stop pretending. This is the chapter where you stop performing. This is the chapter where you stop running from yourself and finally sit still long enough to heal. Because healing isn't weakness. It's the bravest thing you'll ever do. And freedom is not found in success. Freedom is not found in applause. Freedom is found in truth, in healing, in you. So breathe deep. You've arrived. Step into your healing season. And don't look back. You've been through the storm. You've carried pain in silence. But now you're done surviving. It's time to start living. You don't need a new year, a new job, or a new relationship to begin again. You just need a new decision. Tonight, make it. Detox your life. Clean out what poisons your spirit. Make room for purpose. And walk out of here like your future depends on it. Because it does. And remember, you have something special. You have GR8ness within you. And starting right now, you're no longer asking for permission. You're no longer waiting for rescue. You're choosing freedom. You're choosing yourself. You're choosing a life you don't need to escape from. This is the new you. Now go live like it.